guys, the John McNamara host, running Vegas. We're talking local sports, business, real estate. My co-host, Mr.
Rodrigo, always happy to be here. And for everyone listening, watching this, please subscribe, leave us a comment, sign up for the notifications. Let us know how we're doing.
Hey guys, today we have a special guest, Mr. Heath Schneider, Bootlegger's grandson, in the house. Thanks for being on.
Glad to be here, and I appreciate you guys going a little off the script to bring in a bootlegger's grandson. It all ties together, I can assure you.
Oh, for sure. It's good to mix things up.
Yeah. No, I was thrilled when you responded to me. You know, I obviously subscribe to what you're doing, and I think you guys are exactly where you should be, doing exactly what you should be doing in real estate. I've got a little lending background anyway, so I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome.
Hey. Well, we appreciate you being on. We're excited. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you, your story, you know.
So I've been in lending since 2000. Okay. So, I've been in lending a long time. I've been FDIC, I've been small broker, I've been anywhere in the middle. And I got into lending when it was not regulated. It was literally, hey, we got 10 leads, here's a phone, go call them anywhere in the United States. And if you screw it up, just call them back and unscrew it. That was really my experience. This is when Lending Tree was just a little 3-bedroom apartment in Oklahoma City kind of thing.
Okay.
So we were one of the first 4 lenders on Lending Tree. I'd get a stack of 10 leads every day. I'd call out, talk to people, really learned the lending business through trial and error. I sat in a room with a guy behind me and we'd both call and laugh at each other as we screwed things up so horribly, because lending is, well, probably a lot like real estate. You can only read so much, and then you've got to go practice, and then you learn the hard way of what works and what doesn't work, and boy, I'll never do that again. Right. So I've been doing that for 24 years.
Great.
And I've got a great team that works with me. So I really do the initial call, the initial consult, I hand it off to my team to make sure it goes in quickly, efficiently, everything goes out, all the regulations and rules are followed. Present the terms, and then move on to the next. So definitely different than when I got into it 24 years ago, where you literally gather everything, stack everything, process everything, which is a great way to learn lending. But what I learned in lending is I don't want to do that part. It's the most tedious part. It's the most complex part. And there's in my opinion, two versions of lending. One, explaining it to the borrower in very easy to understand words that make sense. 2, getting the loan submitted properly and closed on time. So that's been my lending background.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, at 24 years, that's super impressive. I've been in real estate 20 years. So
oh, wow. Nice.
You've seen it all, and I think in lending it's even more impressive, to be honest with you, because the shifts in the market, the Great Recession, the shifts in interest rates the last couple of years. Tell us about that. How was it going through, recessions with real estate, and how'd you get through it?
2008 was a mess, as you know.
Yeah.
In lending it was even worse, because although banks pretended to be in business, they weren't doing any loans.
Yeah.
You'd turn in a loan and you're like, oh, that's a deal all day long. And they're like, yeah, we're not doing that loan. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
The borrower is perfect. He's got money in the bank. He's got good credit. Everything fit, but banks just weren't lending. They couldn't say they're not lending, so the way they got out of lending is they found some silly reason not to do the loan, which really put me out of business. I was literally out of business for 6 to 8 months. Yeah. I know real estate agents kind of went through the same thing, but then got good at short sales and kind of got good at, finding ways through deals, finding relationships in banks. So I think we all kind of learned, but where I think there was a little bit of water going to the real estate agents, the river was literally blocked for lending for about 6 to 8 months. Yeah. So if you had not saved a bunch of money, you're in a horrible situation, which I was, owned a bunch of rentals and, had a house that was worth $1 million. Next thing you know, it's worth $300,000 6 months later,
Yeah.
And, you're in it $650. So, you're just like, How do you solve that problem?
Yeah.
And then worse yet, in lending, if you make bad choices financially in lending, they may not allow you to be a lender anymore.
Yeah.
Because they'll just say, hey, you can't give financial advice if you can't even run your own business. Yeah. So it was really a funny time. But what I learned from that is save your money.
Yeah.
Save your money, have a 12-month reserve plan. I still present that to buyers and borrowers. I'm like, listen, always have 12 months in your pocket. And people are like, 12 months? And it's like, seriously, if you don't have it, plan for it. Let's hope it never happens again, which, now at that time in 2008, it's my opinion that it was a supply side problem. There was way too much available.
Yeah.
Now we're not in a supply side problem unless you consider a lack of supply.
Yeah.
There's a nationwide lack of supply, millions of homes that are not available with people who want to buy. So there's all this pent up demand.
Yeah.
And honestly, whether you want to hear this or not, I think right now is the best time to buy before rates go down. Because if you wait till rates go down, you're going to have thousands of people again fighting for single homes versus if you get in now and then let rates go down and then refinance. And if you've got a really good financial advisor, like, people like myself who say, hey, don't pay your own closing costs. Let me pay them for you.
Yeah.
Let's get you in just with your down payment. And then when rates go down, let's refinance you and again use the bank's money to pay your closing costs. So you're going down for free. You're not adding to granted, you're taking a rate that's 3/8 higher, but you're keeping $4,000 or $5,000 in your pocket each and every time. So when you refi, it's just free money. It's literally free savings. But if you wait till rates go down, you and I both know, you guys know how this is.
Opens the floodgates.
30 offers, and you guys do 10 over, 15 over. Now I can't afford it because I don't have the money.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's great advice because we've been talking about that for months. And right now, we're seeing on our listings, their price to sell per comps, and they are sitting there.
Yeah.
So people that are on the market right
crazy.
now, highly motivated,
Yeah.
ready to make deals. If you're a buyer, you can get good deals. Because I agree with you. After the election, all these rate cuts that are going to occur, it's going to make interest rates come down. Then you have all this competition, and there's competition. Usually prices go up.
Yeah.
For buyers, anyways.
And we already have no inventory. How much worse is it
Slow.
going to get?
It's
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I give you a lot of credit because you're absolutely right too. Because I think actually lending is more difficult in recessions because as real estate agents, I was doing short sales or I find cash buyers.
Yep.
There's other people that don't want to buy and sell and we'll figure it out. So it is difficult. So I think that's great advice to give. Having
For
12
sure.
months in the bank always for everybody. So yeah, tell us more about like the what you see in the market. What are your projections for the next 6-12 months? What do you think is going to cost?
Rates will definitely come down. I do think there's probably a full percent, if not 1.5% out there, through the election. Let's be honest, gas prices and rates are going to go down between now and November.
Yeah.
And even after that, there'll probably be still some rate reductions because there's been a cooling of the economy, the overall broad market, but people are still going to need a place to live.
Yep.
So it's going to bring, right now, rents versus own, when rates are in the 7s, it's like, But once rates get into the 5s, even now, rent versus own is almost equal, but people always forget when you make a mortgage payment versus a rent payment, you're comparing them apples for apples. Part of your payment is principal, so that's a forced savings account. That's not the same. You got to pretend that you're putting that back in your pocket, and people don't realize. It's like, no, wait a second, do the math. Look at your payment. Even if it's 30-year, 300 of 1,500, 400 of 1,500 is going to go back in your pocket. So I think we're at a place where rents versus own makes more sense. I think anybody who has the intention of staying in Vegas for 3 years, even 2 years or more, buying makes more sense than renting. If you've got a 1-year plan, you should probably rent. But if you've got a 2+ year plan, you'd be hard pressed to make renting smarter than buying.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with rates. And then more importantly, when rates do go down, if you plant your stake today, it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
So, I think there's no better time than now. I don't think I don't think inventory is going to catch up for years. You know, and with Vegas being in what I would say one of the top 5 cities in the world to live in, you know, because of the entertainment, because of the cost of living, because of the things to do. You know, I say Vegas is the future, you know, with the high-speed rail going down to LA. Now we can get to the beach in an hour and a half.
Can't wait for that.
You know, I mean, hell, if you live in California, it can take you an hour and a half to get to the beach, you know? So,
that's why they're moving out here.
You know, trust me, I know. So, you know, I think with all the Californians, you know, coming to town, all the Northerners getting tired of the winters and coming, I don't think there's been a better time to buy, and I think the longer people wait, the more it's going to cost them, and the less they're going to receive of that upside.
Yeah, for sure. Get in now.
Yeah, we agree with you too. All the projections we're seeing is it looks really healthy. We're going to see projections nationally. It looks like it's going to be 4% appreciation a year. And as you know, it sounds like you're very well versed with like Las Vegas. It's typically our appreciation is double what national projections are. So I agree with you. We believe long term in the city, it's growing very rapidly. It's building. It's modern. Yeah, it's a great place to move to.
And a huge lack of inventory, you know? I mean, it just, where do you see, I mean, honestly, where do you guys see inventory catching up with demand? You know, it could be...
We don't. I think there's a huge misconception here because there are still folks like they're building everywhere. And the reality is, you know, back in 2008, they were building 40,000 homes a year, new construction. Now it's about 12, 13, 14,000 a year. I don't think people really understand that. There's more people coming in than we're actually building. So I agree with you. I think this is going to be a long-term issue. And I think builders got smarter too. They're getting away from homes and they're building apartment complexes and more commercial properties. So there's been a big shift in that industry as well. So I think you hit it on the nose.
Well, and to your point, a lot of people don't realize that there was like hundreds of builders at one time. Now they've all consolidated and they've really managed to put a chokehold on that supply on purpose. Because it drive their cost per square foot up by keeping supply choked off.
Oh, for sure.
So there's just a lot of things going on, in my opinion. But I honestly think anybody with a 2+ year plan is a fool not to buy a house, especially when you've got zero down programs, grant programs, you know, lenders willing to pay closing costs, sellers willing to pay, you know, in some situations willing to pay closing costs. You just cannot make a valid argument for not buying right now, in my financial side opinion.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, so we are curious. Can you tell us a little bit more about where the title Bootlegger's Grandson comes from, what we have in front here, and what you've been advertising? I know it seems like you're going around the country, right?
Oh, I'm everywhere, man. I was in San Diego yesterday, Phoenix the day before that, Denver 3 days before that. I'm going back to Denver this Saturday. The world's a big place when you're trying to... You don't realize how big the United States is till you try to cover it single-handedly. It's insane.
You're on national tour right now.
I am. It's like
being a T-shirt.
I tell my friends it's like being in a rock band without the groupies. You know, I mean, it's just, you wake up in every hotel, you're like, where am I again? Oh, yeah. You go out on stage. What's up, Denver? And you're in Phoenix. You know, I go, oh, geez.
That's funny.
But it's fun. You know, this business found me. You know, I didn't find it. I was telling Rodrigo before we got on that I was a non-drinker. You know, I was a non-drinker. I went to college like, you know, a lot of people and drank more Coors Light than any one man should drink. You know, I think, in fact, my fraternity was sponsored by Coors Light. We had CO2 in the house, you know.
Nice.
But after that, you know, I got into my career. You know, I don't have time to be hungover, honestly. I'm a 5 o'clock riser. If I go to bed at 3, I get up at 5. If I go to bed at 8, I get up at 5. You know, if the sun comes up, I'm up, regardless of the condition I'm in. Not because I want to be up, it's because that's how I'm wired. You know, if the sun's up, I'm on. When the sun goes down, I'm off. That's really the way that I was born. But this found me in 2017.
Okay.
And all I did, so again, non-drinker, no beer, no wine, no liquor. And I go on this website and they're talking about my grandma, my grandma Lorine Sextro, but they were saying Lorine Sextro, and family name Sextro. So all I was doing is going into this distillery to say, hey, listen, if you're going to talk about my grandma, how about you get her name right? That was it. That's the whole thing. So I go, I meet Whiskey Rich. Ended up being the person who met my grandma when she was in an old folks home to get her recipe from 100 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So the story is my grandmother in 1932 during Prohibition. Keep in mind women could only vote 1920. And my grandma in 1932 is making whiskey in a barn to feed her kids.
Wow.
That's literally how this goes. She left a letter behind, handwritten, why she did it. She's a very religious woman. She wasn't a gangster. She's just a very desperate farmer with kids that needed to feed them.
Yeah.
And during the Depression, a lot of people don't realize that you couldn't sell anything profitably other than alcohol. Alcohol was very, very popular.
So it's like most recessions.
Yeah. So my grandmother's recipe ended up becoming world famous. I'm from a town called Templeton. Templeton is in Carroll County, and my whole family, I'm related to everybody in Carroll County.
Okay.
Literally, not like when I bring girlfriends home, my grandma would say, what's her last name? And I'd be
Gotta be
blank,
careful.
and she'd be like, you can't date her, she's your cousin. I shit you not. It's a true story. So, long and the short of it is my grandmother gets into bootlegging to feed her kids, only like 6 or 7 months, but her recipe becomes world famous. It ends up being Al Capone's favorite recipe.
Oh, wow.
That's how famous. He literally finds this little town in Templeton, tries this 100% rye recipe, says that's the good stuff, and hands it out to his friends as a gift if you could get it, because it was made very small batch then, just like we do now.
Yeah.
But my grandmother, through her baking bread and being a farm lady, came up with a recipe for making 100% rye whiskey. My grandma and 15 other farm families did this, and it became world famous. So this is the story I got. Wow. So, I come in, talk to Whiskey Rich. He's like, oh, well, let's get you some samples. Keep in mind, I'm not a drinker. So I'm like, oh, God, no, please. Because for me, drinking most liquor is at least a 2-day penalty box, if not 3 or 4 day penalty box. And I don't have time for 2-3. I really don't have time for 2-3 days. So I tried this, and it tasted good. I was really impressed. It didn't burn, it didn't make me feel sick and nauseated and a headache out of the gate. Because for me, I went to a show the other day in the Venetian. We were drinking $10,000 a bottle whiskey and $5,000 a bottle whiskey, and I was ruined in the first 2 sips. And so I contend, so I'm biased, but I truly ask people to take the taste challenge from me. I contend that the reason most alcohol makes you ill is the same reason that a lot of foods make you ill. It's what they use to make it. It's the chemistry that they use to make it. It's the hurrying the process to make it big. When what I make is the exact opposite. We make it 3 gallons at a time, which, by comparison, most distilleries are 10,000 gallons at a time, maybe 1,000, but you'll see them say small batch and craft and all. It's just bullshit. There's no industry standard for small batch. But the epiphany moment for me was when I had enough of this to say, 2-3 drinks, which for me is a ton. And I'm just dreading the result, because I know what getting a buzz off of alcohol means to me. It means, maybe 2 hours of pleasure and 2 days of penalty box.
Right.
So just dreading it. And it never happened.
Wow.
It never happened. And for me, that is get the hell out of here, because I don't know what your guys' background on drinking is or not, but there's nothing worse than going into a bar and people say, let's have some drinks. And I'm like, yeah, I don't drink.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh. And so this for me was like, well, at least I don't have to say I don't drink. Right. I can just say, well, if they have Iowa Legendary Rye, if they have Sextro Rye, I would love to have a drink.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, that's just because you make it. I wish you had a polygraph here, because if polygraph on me and I say that, I guarantee that is the exact truth. And it wasn't because it was my grandma's recipe that I got involved. That was cool. Yeah. You know, that was fun. But it was actually how it made me feel and how it didn't make me feel that made me invest the last 7 years of lending proceeds into barrels, so that when people discover this, because you know there's a real movement right now of food, you know, additives and chemicals and things in your food that make you ill, give you cancer. You know, hell, they had a professor at UNLV come out and say all alcohol causes cancer. And I swear to God, you guys, is this close to sending him a cease and desist, because that is a broad statement. And I would agree with him. Okay, one of the advantages of being a bootlegger's grandson and not the CEO of this is I can speak my mind. There's no, you can sue me personally, but you can't sue my distillery for what I'm about to say.
Nice.
I contend that Fireball definitely gives you cancer. I will guarantee it. I will contend that Jack Daniels probably gives you cancer. I will contend that Jim Beam probably gives you cancer. I will contend that Sazerac products probably give you cancer, even their $10,000 bottles. But I'll tell you the reason for that is not the alcohol, it's the enzymes that they use to create alcohol that make you ill and that ravage your body. And my proof is in the glass. If you sample what I make, it wears off like anesthesia. It literally, you get a nice little sunshine on your forehead, you feel good, it wears off, you can work out the next morning, and that's the proof. And I contend that I'm the only alcohol I've ever tried that actually works like that.
That's incredible.
Does it the right way.
1932 style versus 2024 style.
Of course. Now everybody tries to cut corners nowadays. It's reality. So of every industry. So that's very meaningful.
A bold statement again, you know, and I'm sure anybody who's listening is like, you know, I would say that too if it were my brand. I mean, let's be honest, that's what I would say. But I put that out to the public every day. I put that out to my friends every day. I put that out, you know, again, not a bottle. You know, you drink a bottle of alcohol, it's gonna mess you up. But 2 drinks, you know, 2-3 drinks, drink responsibly. Get a little relaxation out of it. Come out the next morning, hop on your treadmill, and have a great workout.
That's great.
The only thing I say works like that. And there's a big move to cannabis now. You know, that's another thing that's eating into the alcohol business, cannabis. People don't realize, and again, I've tried cannabis. It's legal in Nevada, you know. For me, cannabis is again 2 days in the penalty box. Not the same penalty box, not the headache and the nausea but just the kind of dingy the next day. The elevator doesn't travel to the top floor kind of shit.
Zombie mode.
And then the next day a little bit anxious, you know, a little bit kind of angry, and the only thing that would solve it is partaking again.
Right.
I don't have time for that, man. I really don't have time for that. So what I'm out there promoting and what I'm out there telling people about is there is a choice. And look at what people are putting in your food, putting in your drink. You know, if you don't believe that, you know, a pinhead of E. coli can make you violently ill. If you get E. coli poisoning, it's usually the size of a pinhead amount of E. coli. So if they're taking alpha amylase and beta amylase and plying your grains with these chemicals to get to a finished product, and the enzymes break down grains, that's their purpose, what do you suppose they do to your mitochondria? Seriously, they break down your body. That's why you feel like garbage. And the brain tells the tongue tells the brain what's going on, and when you taste this, the tongue tells the brain, hey, that's not all bad. again, in moderation.
Yeah,
Of course.
well, it's good to know and we're real believers in health and what you put in your body. So, and it's not something that's really talked about a lot.
No.
Yeah.
But you do have to be very conscious. I gave up hard liquor a long time ago because
Yep.
exactly those reasons:
Yep.
anxiety, the chills,
Yep.
you know, like
Yep.
paranoia sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I had to give it up. But it's so cool to hear because I'm like, I just drink Corona Lights now. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the running joke of my friends and family and team.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. I'm excited about trying it out sometime here in the future. And
Yeah, I mean, you know, regardless of what you drink, whether it's beer, wine, or liquor, pay attention to what's in it.
Yeah.
You know, you're really going to see this come out. It's all, you've already got RFK out there throwing Captain Crunch and macaroni and cheese and, you know, the artificial flavors and colors. That's real.
Yeah.
People don't realize that the people in the tobacco business went to the food business when the tobacco business got worked.
Yeah.
So those same people that made tobacco decisions back when they smoked cigarettes on the news are making food decisions now. They're in food and beverage. So do not put it past them to disregard your health in the spirit of profit.
Yeah.
And so I live this, you know, I'm living proof of this. I don't drink every day. You know, I'll have a drink or two once a week. It's nice to have a little relief where you don't have to pay for it for days.
Yeah.
And I am neurotic about getting in my 3 miles every day.
Yes.
You know, I'm neurotic about doing a leg workout and an upper body workout every week.
good.
I could not do that if I drank regular liquor products. And that's what attracted to me. That's what I tell people, besides the fact that it tastes great, because that's how you actually sell alcohol right now. If you try to sell alcohol on feel, let me tell you, you're going to fail so far.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, in the very near future, taste and feel, in my opinion, is the future, because people don't have the time for it, but they've got to find relief somewhere. You know, hey, unplug me for an hour or two. Let me relax for an hour or two. And I say there's nothing out there right now. Maybe your Corona for you.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I know people that stick to the beer because, but I say whatever it is you choose to drink, make sure it's pure.
Yeah.
Make sure it's natural ingredients and there's not a pile of additives, because even in alcohol and cannabis, you can put things in it, and if it's less than 1% of the total thing, you don't even have to mention it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
I'll get off my pulpit, but seriously, it's one of one.
It's legit.
It's why I've spent my last 8 years chasing it around the globe.
Yeah.
So where can you get this in town, or is it through your website only? Is there any, stores that carry it, or bars that you can find this at?
Liquor Lineup delivers it for free.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. Sal over at Liquor Lineup is really good about carrying what we make and delivering it for free. Total Wine carries it. Lee's carries it. You can find it in a lot of nice bars and restaurants, like we're in Vintners. We're in the Atomic Saloon. We're working on being in Eureka down on Fremont.
Nice.
So yeah, you can find the nicer places. You're not, and again, you're not going to find it at PT's.
Yeah.
You know?
You're gonna find more additives.
I know one of the
You walk in and
PT's
get those
brothers
additives.
personally, and they don't own it anymore. But PT's is not about serving you a high quality product. They're about getting you to the slot machines and getting you to throw your paycheck.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So that doesn't take expensive or high quality liquor. In fact, quite the contrary.
Do the opposite. Yeah.
But my goal is to have us in 200 of the nicest bars and restaurants in Vegas. And here's a little spin for you. So my brand is the only brand in the history of the world to sell a barrel to a royal family.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I literally sold a barrel to a royal family. And my brand is the only brand in the history of the world to sell a barrel to a former or current president of the United States.
Wow.
So why? Because they tried it and they were like, never had anything like it. And so that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to bring the bottom up, not take the top down.
No,
I love it.
that's awesome, man. It's a great mission you got,
Yeah.
for sure.
No.
You do.
Exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on. You have an incredible story. It's really neat that she developed this in the Great Depression, and everything has occurred. So, great story. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, and I commend you guys for, again, I said this earlier, but you guys are on the cutting edge of where real estate is going. You're really smart to do this. I think people gather their information this way, and they should respect the fact that you guys do this.
Yeah.
You know, you bring current topics, and you help people in versus writing and video. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks to the best co-host in business, Mr. Rodrigo. If you guys want to try the best whiskey, hit up Mr. Heath, or you need a loan. And guys, this is Running Vegas. Have a great day.